Hey there, Fierce Leaders, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so let's be real. Have you felt stressed anytime recently? Anxious, overwhelmed, uncertain, at all restless? Or maybe you're feeling it right now? Well, you, my friend, are so not alone, and in these times we're living in of so much uncertainty, most of us are stuck literally inside all the time, it's becoming really apparent that it can become really easy to not feel good in ourselves, to not feel good in our bodies, to not feel good mentally, emotionally, in any capacity. And I've been talking to lots of amazing clients, friends, loved ones who are acknowledging that they're finding themselves in this time, wandering to the pantry more than they would like to, and not putting their jeans on because they don't want to notice if they're not feeling too good in their bodies. They're, drinking more wine than they'd like to admit. They're binge watching TV in a way that's making them feel like a robot and lose their sense of self, and just overall to feel really disconnected from their bodies, from themselves deeply. And so what I'm excited to share with you today is what I have found before even any of this has happened, how daily self-care rituals completely changed my life from being burnt out, feeling restless, feeling constantly anxious, not feeling good in myself, to now how I actually feel during this time. I feel quite at peace. I feel very confident in a lot of ways. There's a lot of uncertainty, but I'm able to find a lot of that inner calm, creativity, and just that loving sense of myself and others during this time. So if you're ready to just dive right into this, I'm gonna share with you how I completely changed my life through daily self-care rituals, and I'm gonna actually show you, how I kind of go about my day to give you some examples. So let's just get comfy and get right into it. So what I found really difficult and frustrating about kind of the way self-care is projected out, in general, is this whole construct that seems like that you see on Instagram and all over online world, which is this kind of idea of treat yourself, or self-care is this luxurious spa day that you have to get and it's a reward. It's always self-care is this reward concept that you have to schedule in after you've, really worked your ass off and hustled hard. Then all of a sudden you get to have this proper day to put your feet up and rest, right? And I find this is so BS, because then it doesn't give us the reality of what it is, which is really this concept of just taking care of ourselves, of taking accountability for ourselves, especially to lead ourselves, to be the leaders of our own life. And I love the way Melody Beattie, the author of Codependent No More, states it, where she says, self-care is an attitude towards ourselves and others that says, I am responsible for myself. Right? And okay, frankly, as female leaders, as women, it has been totally ingrained in so much messaging and conditioning that, we need to be rewarded for being kind of a martyr, being a savior, taking care of everyone else. It's like as if we're a better woman, a good woman, if we just take care of everyone else and forget about ourselves. And honestly, I totally bought into this for a while. I definitely was someone who was stuck really wanting to be a good woman, who really wanted to be constantly, seen as the woman who gave herself, who never needed to be selfish, right? I was so afraid of that word, selfishness. But the reality is, if I'm not taking care of myself, it's that classic example of you've got to put your own mask on the airplane on first before you take care of anyone else, because you'll pass out if you don't go for yourself first. Why do we not see this in our daily lives? And another great example is when I think about this, I go, if I saw a little 4-year-old child who was exhausted, who was frankly couldn't even put words together sometimes because they had been they had been running and playing and doing so much, I wouldn't be like, hey, keep going, work harder, knuckle through it. I'd go, you know what, take a moment, we need to refuel you, give you some food, really ensure that you're cared for, that you rest, that you sleep, right? And so I think this is a really important thing for us to finally see in ourselves, is that self-care is simply us seeing it, that it is not just a nice to have, but it is a need to have and a non-negotiable in our lives in order to cultivate ourselves, to nourish in ourselves, and to more than anything, really see that we need to be good at recharging, refueling ourselves, reinvigorating ourselves. All I see self-care as is it simply practices, rituals, activities that allow us to recharge ourselves instead of draining, right? That don't require us to be present or available for other people, right? It's really our opportunity to care for ourselves. So that's first and foremost. And now I'm gonna actually share with you my Fierce 5. So what I have found in every day is that if I have a good self-care ritual in these 5 areas, I feel genuinely just like the best version of myself. And I can show up in really big ways for my partner, for my loved ones, for my clients, for communities. I can show up speaking on stages. I can just do the big things. And I can get through the hard things. So I'm excited. I'm gonna dig in and show you those right now. The first of the Fierce 5 is mindfulness. And I say mindfulness, not even meditation, because there are many forms of mindfulness. You could be someone that likes to sit in silence, but you could also be someone who needs to kind of dance, and likes to dance or does a walking, meditation. But what for me this really means is this is my time to connect with myself in a way where I really help to support my mental and emotional well-being. So how I do this is every single morning when I wake up, mindfulness is my first set of ritual. It's my first ritual I focus on. And that's through my morning practice. So to be fair, I actually do also a meditation. So I start with a meditation, and what I'm really into is Kundalini meditation. I do a Kundalini Kriya, and then I do my morning ritual, which is a writing practice in silence that really lets me connect to my intention for the day, let go of kind of anything emotionally, mentally that I'm holding on to, so I can be as clear as possible for my day. And actually, if you'd like this specific morning ritual, you can check out this video here where I dive into everything that goes into this morning ritual. And also, I'll also put in the description box below my free guide that you can download and do it every morning for yourself. The second of my Fierce 5 is nutrition. So one of the most important ways that I have found to care for myself is to fill myself up and to refuel myself with whole-based, I eat primarily a plant-based diet. I'm very big on not eating processed food, not much sugar, not much, I really try to stay clear of inflammatory foods. I've really found this makes me feel really good in my body, and it affects my mood, it affects the way I think, it affects everything. So this is a really big one, is setting aside rituals. So for me, how I do this is I ensure after I finish my meditation, after I do my morning ritual, that I actually prepare a really, really wholesome breakfast for myself to ensure that I start my day every day with, whether that's a really good, smoothie, or I love a good, delicious quinoa porridge, and I fill it up with lots of superfoods, lots of adaptogens to support my body with really good nutrients and minerals. And this is just a really clear way where I set intentions throughout my day. I actually have spots and pockets on my calendar where I know it's time to eat. And it ensures, because I get really good at going into like creative workaholic mode and just avoiding eating and going for long stretches without eating properly. And then, my blood sugar dropping and feeling really antsy and not thinking clearly. And so I found it's really important as a ritual to ensure kind of specific times throughout my day where I actually block out a period of time to make my food, to enjoy it, and to really ensure that it's wholesome and going to be nourishing for my body and give me the energy that I deeply need for my day. So the third of the Fierce 5 is movement. And this one is so important for me and such a biggie. And it can be walking, dancing. I love to play tennis with my partner. It's a fun way to really kind of just get into that fun, playful game mode, right? It could be strength training. Right now, since I am, locked up at home, we've been really big into the Nike training app. And that's been really helpful. But I ensure to make this really beneficial for me and make sure that it happens every day is I actually block it in my calendar to happen at the same time every day. And I did it intentionally at a time when I know is a really good time to reset myself. And that endorphin high really gives me that natural energy boost that gets me going again, that makes me feel good in myself. And I just find it doesn't give me that energy slump in the afternoon that I used to get a lot. So this is a big one. So the fourth of the Fierce 5 is actually connection. And this one is so important for me as a ritual to help me turn off work and go into kind of winding down in my evenings. I frankly can call out that I am someone that can easily just keep going and have a bit of that workaholic tendency. And so what I found is really important is I always have a connection ritual which helps me, in the evenings to turn off my work and connect to my partner, connect to my home, be really present in my personal life. And so for me, the ways that I see connection is it's connection to yourself. So this could be doing something creative. This could be going into nature if you have access to it. If you're stuck inside like I am right now, it's really about connecting to your plants. It could be about really, reading a really good book. It's really my way of just taking a moment or just kind of finding a fun game or playing with my partner in a fun way. It's intentionally letting myself give myself that connection space to come off of work mode, to come out of that headspace I was in for the day and come into this other part of my life. So I found this has been really, really, really important, especially for me, because like I said, I would have my monkey mind, my anxiety mind constantly going and I wouldn't be able to turn off. So connection, this ritual at that time, especially at the end of my workday, has been a game changer. So that's a fun one to play with. And last but definitely not least, my fifth of the Fierce 5 is sleep. Yes. And this is one that I honestly probably have to do the most work on most of the time because like I said, similarly, if I don't do my connection ritual and whatnot, I can find that I can struggle to sleep at night because I can be kind of still buzzing or I can be really awake or that monkey mind can go and I can be like constantly thinking of new ideas and new things. So for me, what's been really essential here, and actually I have a full video, this video right here you can check out with lots of great evening rituals that I have incorporated in my life that make a world of difference for me. But I have found it to be essential to make sleep a priority, to make it a ritual of preparing myself to go to sleep because otherwise, like I said, I get really terrible sleep. And then frankly, we all know that if we don't get great sleep, we are not the best humans. We really struggle and it's unnecessary. So this has been a huge one for me to focus on and actually currently the area I'm focused on most. So that's what I would recommend. Check out that video there because that definitely will give you some fun ways, some key ways in which I support myself with my evening rituals and getting some good sleep. And if you would actually like to have, lots of other, where I actually share kind of a checklist of how you can set up, your self-care rituals for your day and just some great examples that I love to share of just different self-care rituals you can play with and a menu of different options and ways you can kind of start to experiment in your day. Check out a free guide, my self-care checklist, that you can really use to just start to play with this, to expand and to explore and to just make self-care something that nourishes you so you can live your best life. You can show up as the leader that you deeply respect and love and to just adore yourself again through this. So definitely check it out. It's in the description box below. And also, I would love it if you would share in the comments any self-care rituals that you're now excited to start to play with, that you've been inspired by through this video. And also to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because I will be sharing lots of amazing videos and content all around leadership and self-care for female leaders so we can really thrive and create that holistic success and that quality of life we deeply desire. And as always, I hope you have a fierce day and feel empowered to take action because you, my friend, matter.